Hello my fellow witches, mages, and sorcerers. Welcome to my channel. My name is Aiden, and today we're going to be talking about the ethics of love spells. This one's going to be similar to my ethics of cursing, but it's going to play out a little different. It might get a little bit more personal, so be on the lookout for that. I'm going to leave a little bit of a warning here. There are going to be some uncomfortable topics here, as the nature of love spells gets into some uncomfortable territory for some people. So if you feel uncomfortable at any point, please click off the video and don't engage any further with it. But for those of you who feel that you can get through the video, go for that. So I guess the first thing to start off with is, what is a love spell? Now, a love spell is any spell used to attract, draw in, or otherwise bring someone to you in a romantic or sexual situation. This actually does not constitute love, in my opinion, because love is a very big concept and is an action, not a feeling. You can inspire feelings that will inspire love, but to me, love is not just a singular feeling, if that makes any sense. I think that we won't tackle what love is here. I'll do that in another philosophy video eventually, because that's such a big concept and it goes into so many different categories and it's just so much to break down. But I personally don't believe that love spells are actually love spells. They're more like attraction or lust or other things like that. I think personally that these type of spells can become very obsessive and like they can cause you to become very obsessed and can cause you to become very hyper-focused almost on the person if you are doing it targeted. That kind of gets into our first point of targeted love spells. A love spell can be completely untargeted or it can be targeted. And a lot of people seem to have this unanimous feeling that targeted love spells are immoral and in some cases believe them to be completely unconsensual and border on sexual harassment and things like that nature. I personally think that you can't do a spell that removes entirely the free will of another person. And there have been numerous examples of people doing love spells in the past, and the other person's will is just stronger than the spell itself. For example, Saint Cyprian. For example, Saint Cyprian, he conjured a demon to cause a priestly young woman to fall in love with someone else, and because of her prayers and her devotion to God, she was unable to be affected by his spell and completely drove out the demons. So that's an example of how love spells won't always work just because you did a spell. Because attraction and emotions and feelings are such complex things, and I think that if you're doing a targeted love spell, then it has a higher likelihood of not working in general than actually being effective. And I personally think that they can border on the line of obsession, and I think that they can get into very risky territory. But if you're doing things like to draw in that person to you, to make them attracted to you in some way, then you need to work on yourself first to get them attracted to you. You need to do it simultaneously. You need to both work on yourself and work on that spell to attract that person in. And you also need to be actually interacting with that person. Because if you aren't in contact and interacting with that person, then it's not going to work out. I'm just sorry to tell you that right here, but it's just not going to work out for you. Because if you're not in contact with that person, then they have no clue who you are, and there's ups the likelihood of your spell not working. On the flip side of that is general attraction spells to draw in a person to you, which is what my Lucifer love spell was pretty much. To attract a person into your life. A lot of people find those to be a lot more moral and a lot more less icky and a lot less complicated. I think that they're fine for people to do as well. I think those are a better option if you know for a fact that this person has no interest in you. Because you have to, one thing that I genuinely believe about love spells is that you have to have a strong will. You have to be fully affirmed in your will, and you have to be fully powerful in your will, and you have to have the full manifestation of your will in your life for love spells to work. And you need to have a good relationship with romance. You have to have a good relationship with love itself for these kind of spells to work, because if you don't, then they're just going to completely backfire on you. I also think that because I personally have had a really bad relationship with love and romance, that's why my love spells do not work. I know I literally just did one on camera. I talked about how I could feel the energy, but I personally feel that most of the time my spells do not work because of my relationship with romance and love. And I think that's something that someone has to do shadow work on. Someone has to do personal inner workings to unbind themselves from past traumas and past relationships. And they need to completely unbind themselves and unwind themselves from all of this. It's a very hard process. It's not going to be easy. Um, but I personally think that it'll be beneficial in the end. And yeah. The other side of love spells is when they get into more lust and obsession spells. I believe those are completely immoral. You should never be forcing a person to become obsessed with you, because obsession is a very deadly, I don't want to call it a disease, but it kind of is a disease in a way. Like, it's a mental condition, definitely. Your brain is hooked on a person, an object, a thing. Um, and it focuses on that, and it craves that, and it needs that to be happy, to survive. And when that obsession, like when you don't have contact with that obsession, then you start falling apart and you start just like being torn apart. And I personally have dealt with people being obsessed with me, and it's terrifying. It's not fun. They start to view you as an object, and so it's generally something that you don't want. You don't want a person to be obsessed with you, honestly. There's also the concept of doing a, like, there's other layers of love work that you can do, like breakup work or marriage work or divorce work. Like, there's two different ends of the spectrum. So I'm going to tackle the breakup work and divorce work here. I think that if it's your relationship, you have complete and total control over that. If you want to break up with someone but you're afraid to initiate that and you need an extra boost in that, you can do a breakup spell to help give you that confidence, but you do have to actually break up with that person if it's unhealthy for you. But I don't think you should be doing it on other people's behalf. It's great curse work, obviously. And if you feel that you need to curse someone with that, then go ahead. But I think that messing with someone's love life is very damaging. So if you genuinely want to do that kind of working, then you need to know what you're doing and you need to feel that it is justified. Another thing that I think is that compelling a marriage is very different from compelling someone to go on a date with you. Compelling a marriage is very different than just dating, because marriage is a lifelong commitment, or it's supposed to be in our society. Um, So when you are compelling that, you are forcing that person to say that they commit fully to you. And I think that that's, I don't know, maybe this might be my relationship with marriage, but I just think that that's not a good idea, especially if you don't know that you fully want that person. Because the idea of marriage sounds really good at first, but if you aren't fully committed to that person, if you don't really want that person, then getting married can be a very bad idea. So overall, love spells are just very complex and very nuanced. There's a lot of different layers to it. Like I mentioned before, there's a general attraction, then there's targeted, then there's obsession, then there's marriage, and then there's the complete opposite side of divorce, breakup, and things like that. And it's just very messy, and it's definitely something that new practitioners should not be messing with, like except for like maybe general attraction. I also think that a better use of your time is courage work and self-love work. I know everyone says that all the time. Like, I mean, I know I hate hearing it as well because I love going into love work and hoping it works out and then it doesn't. But you need to do self-love. You need to do courage as well. You need to have the courage to actually be yourself and feel strong enough to talk to this person and feel strong enough to actually want to be in that relationship with a person, because you need to be mentally strong to have a relationship. Relationships are not all about you. They're about the other person just as much as they are about you. I think a lot of people get into this notion that relationships will fix them and relationships will make them happy and fulfilled, but in all honesty, a relationship isn't going to fix you. You have to fix yourself. So, yeah, I think that's about everything I wanted to cover today. A relatively shorter video than my ethics of cursing, as far as I'm aware. Um, Thank you for watching. Feel free to subscribe and comment. Start a discussion down below. I really want to hear your thoughts on this, because I know this is a very complex topic and a lot of people have their own opinions on this. But I want to hear what you guys think. So let me know down below. Thanks again for watching, and I hope to see you again. Adios.